Okay, all is quiet. Mental, camera, record, equals car. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take. Or it's safer to walk on the road, because it's some of the parts of the pavements, well, it's dangerous. So yeah, I'm back at the mental. Just wait till I get to the sun. It's bright. There's no cars. What's going on? It's got to be at least 20 seconds and there's no car. Camera, record, equals car. It's slowing down again. It's just my ongoing joke. Wow, look at that. Frozen solid this morning. So, as you can see, I'm back at the mental, and nothing's going on. I might wander down to the front gates, you never know. So, update and a bit of history again. Anyway, hang on, I'll show you the, zoom in a bit, nurse's home, and if you're following my videos you'll know what the plans are, what it's in planned housing and business units and stuff like that. And Mr. Security might make an appearance, you never know. I think I can see him. I think I can see some sort of car in the distance there, but if Mr. Security makes an appearance, I'll get him on camera. So, no cars, what's going on? So yeah, I've talked about how the mental was, 25 years been documenting the mental. Almost forgot to mention it. 25 years documenting this place, and I'll still keep at it. I ain't going to stop anytime soon. But yeah, there's a snowy, icy mental. So yeah, I've talked about how the mental was heated and how the mental was lit. But what about the water supply? How did the mental get its water? Well, originally, after it was built, and there's the cars. Way too slow. Yeah, there was a stream by Gall Hill, which is, you've got Talavan and Gwynfryn, it's way at the back there. It's a place called Gall Hill. There was a stream, and they diverted the water to the mental. Now, somewhere in the grounds of the mental was a reservoir. Now, I don't know where that was, but it contained, or it held, 114 million gallons. Why 114? I don't know. Could be 110 or 100 or 115, but specifically it was 114 million gallons this reservoir held. Where it was in the grounds, I've no idea. But that's where it got diverted. That's originally diverted to that reservoir, and it had a 7-foot fence all the way around it, so no one would fall in it. And then it was a job of some of the patients, because most of the patients had jobs, and what they did, they hand pumped it to the top of the tower, which is there. See the top of the tower there? There was a big water tank in that, and that's where they pumped the water from the reservoir to the tank that was in the top of that tower, and then it was, distributed through pipes and stuff to the mental. And then after that, they sourced it from the River Ystrad, which is down that way. Gall Hill is way over there, and the River Ystrad is way down that way. And there was a dam there as well, the Denbigh Dam. Here we go, all the cars. Yeah, and if you're following my videos, you'll know I've filmed and talked about the Denbigh Dam. And there was, again, another gang of patients. They pumped the water from the Ystrad up to this reservoir. And then later on, again, there's a reservoir on the Denbigh Moors, which is miles and miles away. High up on the Denbigh Moors, there's a reservoir called the Denbigh, and they bought it for 1,025 quid. They bought the reservoir and 2 acres of land, and then water was piped all the way from that reservoir, the Denbigh, all the way to the mental. So that's the history of the water supply to the North Wales Hospital. And at the Denbigh Dam, sadly, that's where the patients used to go and used to jump off the dam to commit suicide. They used to drown themselves, and eventually they blew the dam up, they dynamited it, And if you're interested, just check out my video, just type in Denbigh Dam and you'll see it and all that. So yeah, and looking from here, that is the mental. That's not the front of the nurse's home. That is actually the back of the nurse's home. The front of the nurse's home is the other side. And there's a drive which runs from that house there all the way along past the front, or as I'm looking at it now, the back, but it's not. What you can see now, that's the back, and the other side is the front. And there's a drive with direct to the engineering department. They never used to use the front gate. They used to use a drive as a straight drive, straight through, and that's the engineering department, which is there, sorry. And that house there, that's where the engineer lived. They built that, and that's where the chief or the main engineer lived. That was his house. So that's it. No sign of Mr. Security. So that's the story of and the history of how the mental got his water supply. And like I said, a lot of the patients, they had jobs, they used to work. As I said, you know, they'd pump in the water, they'd be in the woodwork, the kitchens and the tailors. They all had jobs and they were all happy there. You know, some people think that the people, you know, the patients in the mental hospital were untreated. You know, they were treated unfairly and they were cruel and this and that. It's not to be. You're talking prior to the 1800s. Yes, they were, because mental health, it wasn't understood. You know, they didn't know. They used to burn them at the stake and torture them and stuff. But after the 1800s, mental health. Yeah, he's in a rush. Mental health, they sort of began to understand it a bit. Oh well, and they weren't mistreated, as a lot of people think. They were treated unfairly and mistreated cruelly and all that, up until when the mental shut. It wasn't like that at all. You're talking in the 1800s, yes, true it was then, but things improved. The patients were actually happy there, because I knew a lot of them. I knew a lot of the patients when I was a child to talk to and all that. And they'd be in town, you know, the ones that were allowed out on their own. You know, you used to get to know them and all that, and they were happy there. They'd look at the wall, was at the time, oh, I've got to get back. You know, I've got to get back to the hospital and all that. They were actually happy there. So it's a misunderstanding. Like I say, just a few people, they think, you know, the hospital, and they were all then mistreated and stuff like that. It wasn't like that. Yes, pre-1800s, obviously it was, you know, because it wasn't understood, and they were treated, used to torture them and burn them or lock them away, used to manacle them and chuck them in an attic or down a cellar and stuff. It was like that. But as the years got on, it changed completely. Mental health was understood and it was treatable, and they were treated and they were happy. I know I can say 100% the patients, they were happy in the mental. Right, there's no sign of Mr. Security. So yeah, and originally the chapel was, where's the front buildings there? Just above the front door, which is roughly in the centre of the shot now. Hopefully you can see it. Roughly somewhere there. As you look at the front of the mental, the front door, above the front door, that's originally where the chapel was. And then it was obviously too small, so what they did was they built a chapel, and it's at the back there. Them trees there, that's the isolation hospital, and then you've got the morgue, and the chapel is in them trees there. So they built a new chapel in them trees there, but you can't see it from here. And it held 200 people could get in that chapel. But originally, as I say, if you look at the front of the mental, you've got the front door. The chapel was originally above that front door, but it was too small, so the chapel is now at the back there. So that's it. So another visit to the mental, and there's no sign of Mr. Security. So I might pop down the front gates, and I might pop down to the entrance, and I'll see what's going on. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again.